Hi, I'm Old Norse Specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. Today on my channel about Norse language and myth, I'm going to continue my Old Norse language series with some grammar and vocabulary that will continue to kind of smooth out the edges of your Old Norse and get you reading more. So the first thing I want to talk about is Ustem nouns. Ustems are sort of analogous to the Astems, which are kind of your normal masculines, in that the letter U is their accusative plural. The reason the Astems are called Astems is that their accusative plural used to be, and actually I guess still is, letter A, and then I stems have letter I, E, and etc. So U stems, however, are a little bit different because U's ran through so much of the paradigm that there's a lot of U mutation or U umlaut, but there's also some I mutation or I umlaut. So to take a nice example, let's look at bear, the animal, which is Bjorn. Now, you know that the hook O letter, the O caudata, only comes from an old A that has been mutated by a U that used to follow it, and that's exactly what we would have here. In Proto-Norse, this would be something like Bjarnews, actually Bear News, because what's happened here is not classic U umlaut necessarily, but rather the phenomenon called breaking, where an old E has been changed into J hook O by a following U. If you want to know more about breaking, I'll put a link in a card at the top right in YouTube in 2020 so you can see a video that has more about that. So we got U umlaut or breaking in the nominative singular. Then the accusative singular looks the same, Bjorn, Bjorn, although if the nominative singular R or the doubled N was still there in Bjorn, which it isn't because it's been lost by the normal process where you have a complex of three consonants dropping the middle one. Basically, originally, this is Bear News. The U is going to mutate the E to, so you'd have something like Bjornews. The U is going to drop. It's going to be something like Bjorns, but then you got three consonants in a row. Those old Z's, maybe after they become R's, maybe before they do, become an L, N, S, or R if they're next to one. So this would become an N. So you'd have something like Bjorn. Then we drop the second N. So there's no nominative singular R or N, but there are in some use stems. So we're going to go Bjorn, accusative singular Bjorn, genitive singular Bjarnar. So notice we've got that ending that we associate more with feminines for the genitive singular ar. And since that doesn't have a U in it, the U mutation is going to be reversed. And you're going to have Bjarnar rather than Bjornar. Then we've got dative singular Birni. Now what happens in the dative singular is you get I mutation. But the I mutation happened so long ago that it caused what we call primary umlaut, which is something we usually don't see in Old Norse, where old E's can become I's if they are followed by an unstressed I. So since this is originally something like Berni, we've got Birni with primary umlaut going on, primary I mutation. Then in the nominative plural, we've got I mutation as well. So Birnir looks like an I stem with that ear plural, but with I mutation distinct from the singular. Then accusative plural, we go back to the U mutated form because the ending is U, so it's Bjornu. Then genitive plural, Bjarna. Then dative plural, Bjornu. U stems make a lot more sense if you think about them from a Proto-Norse perspective and then apply the correct sound changes. Let's look at another one. Let's talk about God, but in the sense of a member of the primary family of the Norse gods, which many people know is called the Aesir in Old Norse, although a lot of people know it better by the modern Icelandic pronunciation, Aesir. So there we're going to have os, with the second S in the nominative singular representing the old nominative singular ending Z or R, but it's assimilated to an S. Then accusative singular os with one S. Then genitive singular os with the more normal masculine genitive singular S. You might see osar too, but this one assimilates the more normal masculine genitive singular ending s rather than the ar ending that you see in Bjarnar. Why exactly that is, it's hard to say. You see it in Ustems too sometimes, where that more expected masculine genitive singular s comes out instead of r. It's sort of a lexeme by lexeme thing. I wouldn't fault you for thinking the genitive singular was osar, and that might even exist somewhere. Dative singular is going to be assi. Now, that is because the I mutation of long a is ash, so assi. And then nominative plural is going to have I mutation too, so it's going to be assir. And then the accusative plural is going to have U mutation if long a was subject to U mutation, so it's ossu. And then you have genitive plural ossa and dative plural ossum. And so this is why modern pagans often call their religion ossa true, right? Belief true of the Asir ossa, because the genitive plural has does not have the I mutation that the normal nominative plural Asir has. So there are a lot of these nouns. I will give you the most common ones to learn here. Let's do Os, a god, a member of the family of the Asir. Bjorn, meaning bear. Fjordur, fjord, of course, where the English word comes from. Friður, meaning peace. Hotter, meaning method or manner or way. Hottur, meaning hood. Knor, that's a large ocean-going Viking ship. Mjolnir, that's mead. We've had that vocabulary item before, but I haven't introduced it as what it is, which is a Ustem. Siðr, which is custom, like cultural custom or religious ritual, that sort of thing. Skjoldr, which is shield. Sunnir, which is son, as in my sons and my daughters, not this son. Vidr, which is wood. Vordr, which is guardian. Vokstr, which is growth or height of a person. And Orn, which is eagle. Let's make sure that you've got this down. Take a moment to do Fjordr, fjord. See if you can just pause this video, write out what you think the endings ought to be, and then play the video when you're ready to see the correct answers. All right, so what you ought to have gotten is Fjordr, fjord, right? So knocking off the masculine nominative singular ending for the accusative singular. Genitive singular fjarðar, so reversing the U mutation. Then dative singular is firði. So remember that the actual root, if you've got J hook O, is E. So E is going to get primary mutated to I, so firði. Nominative plural firðir, accusative plural fjorðu, genitive plural fjarða, dative plural fjordum. Let's do another one of these and make sure that you're feeling good. Let's have shield, skjoldr. So pause the video and see if you can do the endings for that. All right, so you should have gotten skjoldr, skjold, skjaldar, skildi, skildir, skjoldu, skjalda, skjoldum. And by the way, modern Icelandic analogizes Ustems more to I-stems, so it doesn't have all of these strange variations that you're going to see in Old Norse. So don't trust your modern Icelandic too much if you know some modern Icelandic. Let me also mention one thing about a couple of these items. Sunnir, son, that has, instead of the I mutation that you would expect, in the cases where it would be I mutated, you've got a Y. So this is going to go Sunnir, son, sonar, sunni, so with a Y, not with an O slash, Sunnir, nominative plural, then sonu, sona, sono. This is because there's an old dialect variation between Sunnir, S-U-N-R, and Sonar, S-O-N-R, and for whatever reason, the I mutated forms go back to the form with U. I can maybe think of a reason other than dialect for that, but I'll explain it in text. It's too much to go into right now. I'm going to lose you all on this anyway. Another one to keep in mind, Vokstr, that the thing, height. The reason that's such a common word is because you often say that somebody is whatever with regard to height. Mikil Vexty. So mikil, large, big. And Vexty, growth in the dative singular, that means he's like big with regard to height. That's a tall man. Then you'd have like litil Vexty, that means he's a short man. You'll just see that Vexty all the time next to some kind of adjective meaning size, and it's going to mean like that's roughly how tall somebody is. Mikil Vexty, litil Vexty being especially common. Let me give you a quick message from my sponsor as usual, and I'll come back and tell you about the one neuter Ustem that you need to know about and the one feminine Ustem you need to know about, because otherwise Old Norse, relative to something like Gothic, loses the Ustems except in the masculine. So the one neuter Ustem you got to know, there used to be more, but there's really only one left, is fe, which is money or cattle. It means either one. It's related to English fee, which means, of course, something you pay for parking, but also to German fee, which means cattle. So this goes fe, fjord, fe. And the reason for this, of course, neuters, the nominative and accusative are always going to be the same. But the genitive singular is fjord because Old Norse, Old West Norse has a sound change where long E-A becomes J long A. This is the same reason why to see is not sea, but sjö. So genitive singular fear becomes fjord. And then dative singular fei, I is going to drop after other front vowels like long E. So just fe. So fe, fjord, fe. And it's not really used in the plural. It's kind of one of those countless nouns like English money, where you don't talk about many money, you talk about much money. So you talk about mycket fe, not morg fe, right? Much money, big money, not many money. And then the feminine is hand, hond. So that's going to go hond, handar, hendi. Pretty much what you'd expect in the singular based on the analogy of the masculines. Feminines, of course, usually the nominative and accusative singular are going to be the same, so hond. Then you got the expected Ustem, genitive singular ending ar, expected Ustem, dative ending I with I mutation. So hond, handar, hendi. Then the plural goes hender, handa, hondum. The plural has started to get analogized to consonant stems, which we're starting to talk about, stuff that's a little bit more like how modern men works. So the plural is not going to look like the masculine Ustems, but you can still tell in the singular this is an old Ustem, and it's a really important noun to know that doesn't really work like any other noun. So hand, hond, handar, hendi, hender, handa, hondum. All right, Ustems are a lot, but learn these endings. Like I said, it's often better to kind of learn it in Proto-Norse than learn the sound changes that give you the Old Norse. It makes more sense that way. I've got some more text probably on these slides that I've added to hopefully explain this a little bit better than I usually can off the cuff like this. I'll add some exercises as usual and some readings with some Ustems for you to practice with, and hopefully this will all make clear sense once you've practiced it a little bit. For now, from beautiful Wyoming, let me wish you all the best.